If you're not going to be using AI, you'll just be left behind, because everyone else has that advantage of basically having the expert in your pocket on anything. I'm never going to be the best communicator in the world. AI can close that gap 100 times, 100% better than what you already are. And that's how I see it. It's like an extension of yourself. Context is key. And this is the biggest thing that people miss out on, because now AIs get better and better with worse and worse prompts as the models improve. But context is everything. For example, let's say I have a patient with external cervical root resorption, and I need to sort of explain that to them. If they're like a mechanic or an engineer, I can say like, okay, well, imagine you've got a car door and then there's a bit of rust coming from the bottom of the car door, and you have to sort of file it down and fill it before it gets worse. So it can come up with these amazing strategies that I think I would never be able to think about. It will make an experience much better for patients and for dentists, because it will be less effort for the dentist, and there'll be much higher output quality for the patient, because the patient will have something that they can really, really understand.
AI is currently everywhere. It's a massive buzzword, has been for a few years now, but can you believe that at the time of recording this, 86% of the world, of the entire world, have had no interactions with AI. And only about 0.3% of the population are actually paying for AI. So I have a monthly subscription with AI, and Daz, our guest today, will talk about that as well. And so I'm one of 0.3% of the population. So the reason I'm mentioning that is we've barely scratched the surface. And so this episode is about making AI in dentistry tangible. Me and my guest, Dr. Daz Kasperek, assume zero knowledge that you have in AI. Like, we cover what is a prompt, what is an AI model, which one should you use, is it safe to put patient details inside of AI, and more importantly, how can we actually start to get our time back, be more efficient, enjoy our lives more, have an easier life through the power of AI. And so over the next weeks, we'll talk about other more advanced ways we can use AI, but this episode is very foundational because many colleagues, especially on Protrusive Guidance, message me saying, hey, I don't have time. I am a busy clinician. I come home to my family. I haven't had time to properly give AI a go. Most of the people listening or watching this right now, even though I've been banging on about AI notes for 2 years now, are still not using AI notes because they just don't know how to get started. Well, let this episode be your guiding light. Let this episode pave the way for you to get into AI, because trust me, it is worth getting into. AI is super powerful. It can do bad things, but if we use it ethically, it's going to save us time. It's going to reduce our stress. And we talk about all the different mechanisms in this podcast. So this is for every single dental professional who hasn't really given AI a shot yet. You will understand it a lot more after this episode. And for those of you who are already deep into AI, you'll hear some cool things that Daz is doing with AI right now. Now, every PDP episode, we give you a protrusive dental pearl. And today is a free AI tool that you can do something really cool. You can feed it an image of a smile, like a standard smile photo that we take for documentation, and the AI will do its magic and give you the same image back, but with a smile makeover. So this is like one of those instant smile makeover things. Like, I remember 5 years ago, I used to send cases like these. I send these images to a dental lab, and they would use some software to give you a few smiles, and then they would email it back. And even they were a bit sketchy, but we used to pay £50 for that service. So it's something you could show to a patient that, hey, this is kind of like what your smile could look like. And so now we don't need to pay anyone, and certainly I would say you don't need to buy any expensive software that does this. Now, there are some smile makeover simulation softwares that are out there, and I'm telling you, you don't need them. It's free, and I'm going to share it with you, okay? And I just want to let you know that I did not invent this, and even Jason Lipscomb, who actually presented this or curated this, he didn't invent the technology, but he did the hard work of making it into a model, into a project, and allowing it to be embedded into ChatGPT. So I don't want to take any credit for this. All credit to Dr. Jason Lipscomb, who's doing so many cool things sharing with AI and dentistry. I'm going to find his Facebook group and give it a shout out. So the Facebook group is Dental Disrupt AI and Automation, currently 550 members. He's posting daily uses of AI in dentistry and beyond. So massive shout out to you, Dr. Jason Lipscomb. Thank you for creating that resource, and I'm just passing it on to you guys. Wherever you're watching or listening to this, just scroll down, you'll see it. It's in my show notes. So if you're on Protrusive Guidance, I'll put a clear link to this software. If you're on Spotify, it'll be in the description. If you're on Apple, scroll down to the description. There'll be a link there. And let me explain how this link works. So this is is a custom GPT, which means that if you go inside ChatGPT and then you click on the link I'm going to give you, you kind of install this custom GPT in your ChatGPT. So whenever you're having a chat with ChatGPT, on the side panel, you're going to see this tool. It's called Dental Disrupt Smile Simulator. And did I mention it's free? Like, it's freaking amazing. I've actually been really impressed. In fact, I've been doing an experiment. I've been giving it before photos of actual real smile makeovers that I've carried out, and the simulated after image it gives you is pretty on point when you compare it to the real after. So it's not too far-fetched. It's actually quite accurate. I've been really impressed. So it harnesses the technology that ChatGPT has, but Jason's just done all the hard work to actually prompt it and give it some instructions for smile design. So once again, the link is freely available. Just scroll down wherever you get your podcast and I'll make sure the link is there for you. Hope you enjoy that tool. You're welcome. And now let's join the main episode and I'll catch you in the outro. Dr. Daz Kasperek, welcome to the Protrusive podcast, my friend. A long-term Protrusive I've been seeing from the Facebook days, right? Well, back when we had a Facebook group and stuff, you have made so many Protrusive happy with your cross-polarizing filters that you made for them. And it's so nice to actually see you in the, well, not in the flesh, but see you in front of me discussing something that's like changed my world. And I know it has yours as well. Daz, tell us about yourself, why you are now studying Endo at Liverpool, and like a little bit about your journey, because I always believe in the journey and how you got here and how now you're doing like research in AI in Endo, right?
Exactly, yeah. First of all, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jazz, for having me on. I've been a long fan of your podcast. And I still remember back in the day when you started at the beginning, you know, when you did that first episode on Singapore, I think, and you had that American. Yeah. I remember you were doing like the intro of that American guy, you know, it was so cool. I just remember listening to you. But I graduated from Sheffield. So I graduated from Sheffield in 2018. And I think at some point you were at DCT there. So I think I might have like seen you around when I was a student. But yeah, so right now I'm doing my doctorate in endodontics at University of Liverpool. So I'm doing my
Can I ask what that actually means? Like, for example, I'm familiar with masters, I'm familiar with an MClin Dent. How is the doctorate different? Like, is it significantly different?
So it's still a specialty training pathway, but we've got a lot more research. So a big part of our course is a research component. So
like PhD level?
Yes, precisely. Yeah. So I'm also an ACF, which stands for Academic Clinical Fellow. So I'm doing my endo sort of specialty training with the doctorate concurrently. So a big part of my specialty training is also like a big research project. So sort of everyone who's doing the DDSC, you know, we have like a proper, you know, long 3-year long research project that requires a full dissertation, thesis, defense, etc. So it's a very big commitment, but I'm honestly so happy at Liverpool. I have the best supervisors, like my Professor Jared. Shout out to him. He's amazing.
Oh, legend. Yeah. He taught my wife back in the day as well when she was a Liverpool grad, actually. So he's very well known. Yeah.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's such a nice place to be and extremely supportive. So I'm really, really happy. And a lot of my research is in AI and also augmented reality as well. So I'm looking at that as well. So I'm sort of looking at all the sort of digital technologies and how we can integrate them into Endo. So really, it's such an exciting space because literally every week there's new things that come out, and you know, you can go on holiday for a week, and I think it took me like a few hours to literally catch up what I've missed on. So it's incredibly exciting to be.
How exciting here. That you're at the interface of endodontics and AI. Right, that is so exciting. I can hear the enthusiasm in your voice, and that makes me so happy. Look, AI has just changed our world completely, right? And it's an interesting thing, right? I actually remember something interesting from when I was 12 years old. Literally, I was like year 7, and I remember reading something in IT class. Right, there was like the first chapter in the book back in the day, and you're using like these big old desktop e-machines, Dell, and that kind of stuff, right? And it had this chapter about the disadvantages of having the internet. And one of the disadvantages of having the internet is that it creates a big divide in the world of communities and a percentage of the population that is information rich and a percentage of the population that's now going to be information poor, and how the information rich will really be massively like advantaged over, and it creates this like inequality. We are at the same space now where most of the world has now caught up. Okay, there's internet access, especially now thanks to Tesla and what they're doing, the Starlink and stuff. There's internet pretty much everywhere now. But it's now who's using AI and what they do and who's not. And you can see that in the next few years, the AI is like going so crazy, and the time it'll take people who are behind to catch up is just like you said. I have been like, AI for me has allowed me to come home to my children, has saved me so much time. In the podcasting world and what we do now, like we obviously launched Ask Jazz and made everything accessible. Like before, someone used to message me years ago before the AI thing took off and says, Jazz, and this was when we were like 100 episodes in, and it's like, Jazz, your podcast is so rich information. You should create a resource like an ebook or something with all the stuff in it, basically. But now with AI, it was amazing to be able to just bring it together so you can chat with every single piece of content ever. And we're just barely scratching the surface, right? I just want to share that perspective and excitement. So tell us, where should we start, right? Where should we start? Where do you think we are now in terms of AI in dentistry? I think that's a good overarching place to start.
Yeah, so I think you absolutely nailed it. I think we're still in its infancy days because ChatGPT has been out maybe for just over 3 years. It's become mainstream, and every week, like I said, things are improving. And because all these big companies like Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, they're all competing with each other constantly. So they're all pushing themselves to get better and better and better. And obviously, as consumers, we benefit from that because it's a healthy competition, because everyone wants them to use their AI rather than the competition. So I feel like that's why we're pushing so hard with the models. They're becoming smarter, they're becoming easier to work with, they're becoming more intuitive. And I see with every iteration of every new model, little nuances that, you might have not picked up if you haven't used it enough. They're being ironed out behind the scenes. And I think with more and more people adopting it, it's just going to be mainstream. I think, it's going to be like the internet, exactly like you said. It's just going to get better and better, and it's just going to be more integrated. And like you said, if you're not going to be using AI, you'll just be left behind, because everyone else has that advantage of basically having the expert in your pocket on anything, and it's precisely tailored to you. I think that's the key thing. It's like having a tutor that's omnipresent, and they have expert knowledge, and that's what's so amazing about it. And I think it's only getting started. I think there are specific dental AIs in terms of like caries diagnosis. There's research done on segmentation, CBCT. There's a lot of stuff done in medicine where they help clinicians diagnose patients. So that's a very exciting space. And these are all tailored models that are trained specifically on very specific data, very specific instructions. But
I'll give you an example, Daz. Last year, around about this time last year, I had a pneumothorax, spontaneous pneumothorax, right? My left lung decided it wanted to burst. And the doctor had no idea what was going on. She's like, maybe we should send you for a CT scan. I don't think it's anything, but we'll send you. But no, it was a chest x-ray, sorry. Send you for a chest x-ray. And then the chest x-ray popped up, and within a second, it said pneumothorax, and it highlighted the diagram came up of the area of the pneumothorax, and that was amazing to see, a bit used in medicine real time on that very tailored specific stuff. And that's how it's revolutionized diagnosis. And I think that's really where dentistry, and where does dentistry start with AI? Well, it started with diagnosis, right? And that's really, because the diagnosis is, once you've gathered the data, right, which we have to do as clinicians anyway, it's allowing us to eliminate our blind spots and actually tap into multiple, language models and parts of our brain that just don't exist with us yet. We're not intelligent enough, but we can now give it to AI to give us a differential diagnosis, and we use a human judgment. So no wonder that diagnosis is really taking the lead. So tell us about what you've seen as good case studies at the moment, and what is potentially not there yet, but is something to be excited for the future when it comes to diagnosis and AI in dentistry.
So I think in terms of diagnosis, is like exactly like you said, it's you have an expert for a second opinion, right? Because ultimately, you're always going to be responsible for your clinical judgment. AI doesn't have a GDC number, but you do. It's always about having a different perspective, because a lot of patients will give us a lot of information from their history, from the clinical findings, signs and symptoms. And we get those patients that we're not quite sure sometimes what's going on. And, you order a different scan, you have a CBCT, you may get them to see another specialist, and it's exactly for that purpose. So you can even feed information like patients' signs and symptoms anonymously, but I think that's a topic that we also need to touch upon as well. You can describe the signs and symptoms, your clinical findings, and then you can get AI, because it has all the knowledge of the internet, has been trained on all the knowledge, all the websites, books, etc. Right? So as humans, we don't really have the capacity to have so much knowledge available to us, and it just gives you that ability to really hone in and maybe get something to this persona really to tell you, okay, maybe could be, and then you're the final sort of boss that sort of connects it all together, and then ultimately you make that decision. But I think, in terms of like diagnosis, I think that's really, really crucial, because there may be something that the patient could have told you that you could have missed and completely dismissed, but that might be very, very specific, that was mentioned somewhere else that you're not familiar with. So I think that's the key thing here right now.
The danger for me with AI, and let's use ChatGPT as a case use, right? I've done it before. Was that okay? Obviously, you don't want to feed any patient data in. We're going to talk about that. But let's say if there is a scenario where a patient has this feature, a sinus tract, and blah blah blah. What's the percentage chance that we should save it? What's the prognosis? Blah blah. You feed it some more data. You give it radiograph. It reads a radiograph, for example, or an example radiograph. Like, it gives you information. But my worry is when I've tried to discuss with ChatGPT about various other aspects and said, give me the evidence for this, give me the evidence for that, it literally made up papers that don't exist, right? And it hallucinates, right? It's called hallucination. And so that's one of the reasons why I created Ask Jazz, because I said, if I don't know something, it was like, we don't know. And so it only uses information that's actually been verified from the mouth of me or an expert that goes there, rather than scraping from Reddit and hallucinating. And that's one of the reasons why I was worried about it, because a lot of it depends on the prompt. Now, me and you, we know what prompt means, but some dentists and colleagues I speak to, one of them who messaged me on Protrusive guidance and says, look, he said, I'm 30 years qualified. I feel like a dinosaur. I feel like I don't even know where to start with AI, right? So someone like that who's listening into this conversation, we need to even say what is a prompt. A prompt is that what do you feed the AI to help you unpack the problem? And depending on what prompt you give, you'll get wildly different answers, right?
Absolutely.
And so that itself is like biasing the AI in different ways. So for example, the way patients do this is patients would type in, say, hey, I think my dentist has messed up my diagnosis. I think I have this, this, and this. And the tendency of the AI, because that's the way you've presented the problem, it will look for reasons to support you. And so that is a big issue. So what advice do you have for dentists when they are starting to use ChatGPT or any other models? And I'd love to hear what models that you use daily to help them to make better judgment.
Yeah. So I think one of the key issues that I found with when people come to ask me about AI, or when come to me when sort of ask me about troubleshooting, is the fact that they are not customizing their model for them. So, when you sign up to ChatGPT, when you sign up to Google Gemini, Claude, etc., there is an option in the settings, which is the personalization. And there you can put information about yourself. So what you do for a living, what you're interested in, where do you live? You can, so basically in my personalization, I told that, this is my name. I'm doing my endodontic training here at this university under this professor. I'm interested in AI. I'm interested in technology. And these are like my preferences. So I tell it a lot about myself and a lot about my preferences. So anytime I'm having a conversation with AI, it already knows all this information about me. So, because let's say, you're asking a dental question about AI. AI doesn't know, are you a patient? Are you a child? Are you a dentist? Are you a specialist? You could be anyone. So you get a very generic answer back. And I think that's the key thing that people sort of struggle with, because they'll try it, I tried this, it's rubbish, it doesn't really work, or it gave me some garbage out. And exactly how you said, it's the first key thing is, always like log in and use your own account. Don't share accounts with other people, because at the moment it doesn't really work. You only you have one account per person. And personalize it with your own personal instructions. And once you've done that, you dramatically see an improvement. Now, second thing I would say is, after you've done this is, so for my prompting, like the basic thing I would say is, I have this little acronym, and it's RCT, so root canal treatment, right? So obviously I love endo, so it has to be endo related. So R is the role. Okay, what do you want the role of the AI to be? Are they a fellow clinician? Are they a fellow dentist, a specialist? Are they an admin? Are they an email writer? Then the C is the context. Context is key. And this is the biggest thing that people miss out on, because now AIs get better and better with worse and worse prompts as the models improve. But context is everything. And I feel people sort of, context to me is like a lab docket that you send to to your laboratory when you're trying to make an indirect restoration or a crown, right? So if you just say to them, make me a crown, they don't know what tooth it is, what material, what shade, what characteristics, what's the occlusion. Is, that you're going to get a generic crown back, and then you get a generic crown back. You're like, well, what is this? This is not what I wanted. Because
What a
anytime you
wonderful
interact,
comparison. I love that.
thank you. When you think of, when you interact with the chatbot, you always have a model answer that you always want back. And then when you have that expectation to get that model answer and you get something else back, you just, well, this is rubbish, But the context is key. So always give AI a lot more information than you think it needs. And the last thing is the task. So exactly, what does it need to do? Does it need to give me some brainstorming to the diagnosis? Does it need me to write an email? Do I want it to help me brainstorm some ideas because I'm traveling to a conference somewhere? So that's RCT. That's, that's the main thing. But with C being the most important thing, because the context is everything, especially now with the models being more and more smarter. But nothing can replace context. I think in the future, AI will just be integrated in our lives, whether it will be through like wearable devices or glasses or anything like that. So you automatically get the context fed into it with Leslie. So it will know from your day what you've done, who you've met, who you've spoken to, what's on your phone. So when you say it's like, write an email to Jamie, you already know who Jamie is and where they're working, And so at the moment, still, I think really to get the most out of AI, you have to spend a little bit of time customizing it and making it tailored to you. But once you've done that, the results, you'll skyrocket in terms of the outputs that you actually get.
In terms of, I mean, you made a wonderful summary. So role, context, task. I love that so much. That's a real gem already. Even the role like prompt engineering is like, act like a specialist, act like Jackie Chan, tell me this, whatever, right? It's like the role you're playing, and I love that so much as well. And that's one of the key ones I use. Like, when I love speaking, by the way, to ChatGPT. I love having a proper chat as I'm driving. It's like a phone call. I love that feature about it, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah.
With Ask Jazz, I sometimes talk with myself. It's like, in this episode, what was the gem that was shared by this dentist? And I love just hearing the voice back, and how you could do it in different languages, which is just crazy, right? The AI can speak Chinese and I can't, and I love that as well. But when we come to tasks and administrative tasks, I think that in dentistry, there will, and I whether we want to hear this or not, we are getting close to a point where we will need less receptionists, we will need less admin people, because now we have AI agents that can do so much. For example, AI agents will work and you'll be able to expand on as well, but they can work 24/7. They are literally the person, the AI agent that will read the email from the patient, right? Attribute them, help them with an appointment, book the appointment SOE already for them, send them the email for the welcome, check in with them a few days before, send them the treatment plan, all these things that a human is doing at the moment. I think we're 2 years away from AI agents just doing this. And so this is going to massively shape the workforce of the future, and it starts with dentistry admin staff as well. What do you think about that? And do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm do you think it's a scary thought for sure, but what do you think about my prediction?
No, I agree with you. I think the agentic workflows and the way actually the latest chat GPT 5.2 model is trained on is actually amazing at agentic tasks. In the chat GPT subscription, you've got the agent mode, which is the agentic mode, and then you can also use the thinking mode, the 5.2, which is the reasoning model. But the reasoning model, the recent reasoning model that was actually released by chat GPT, is really, really good at agenting tasks. And I think that's where the industry is going, because all these repetitive, boring, administrative tasks that, can take a lot of time, but also are just very time consuming, it can be easily replaced by agents. So, I mean, I'll give you an example of one of the things that I've done recently with GPT 5.2 thinking and the agent mode. So I had a lot of CPD certificates, and there's like a GDC sort of template that you have to fill in with all your certificates, where you went, how many hours. So basically I've uploaded all the certificates, I've uploaded my Excel spreadsheets, and I said to it, read all the certificates and copy all the information from the certificates, from the hours, all the objectives, everything, and put it all together in the spreadsheet. And it basically just did it. And then I can just go and do something else. But previously, you'd either have to hire someone to do this, or you would essentially have to do it yourself and waste a lot of time. So I think now with the agentic workflows becoming more and more prevalent, I think you're absolutely right. Is getting more and more. You're going to get more and more personalized advice, right? So for every patient, I think that's why AI is brilliant, because you can make personalized consent forms, you can make personalized recommendations or explanations. So, for example, let's say I have a patient with external cervical root resorption, and I need to sort of explain that to them. Well, if they're like a mechanic or an engineer, I can say like, okay, well, imagine you've got a car door and then there's a bit of rust coming from at the bottom of the car door, and you have to sort of file it down and fill it before it gets worse. So it can come up with these amazing strategies that I think I would never be able to think about, and it can really make personalized medicine very, very accessible. And I think it will make an experience much better for patients and for dentists, because it will be less effort for the dentist, and there'll be much higher output quality for the patient, because the patient will have something that they can really, really understand. And then they can really sort of, always want to get better communication, but I'm never going to be the best communicator in the world. AI can close that gap. AI can make you 100% better than what you already are. And that's how I see it, is like an extension of yourself. So it just amplifies your skills and then sort of fills in any sort of things that you may not necessarily have the ability to do at the moment.
Daz, I'm going to add to that. So one of the this month is AI month on the podcast, and one of the guests that we have this month from the States, this is exactly how he uses AI. Like he will, I don't know if he's actually putting the audio in or the transcript in. He's putting the transcript of the entire conversation with the patient in, right? Anonymizing it. And then eventually he'll give it the outcome that, okay, well, patient went ahead with treatment or not, or the patient said this. And it kind of audits, okay, well, actually your sentiment score, like, okay, well, actually I'll give you 7 out of 10 for this. Next time, when the patient said this, you could have said this because the patient was trying to tell you this, right? And so it's amazing how you can use that data to improve yourself in communication. It's just when you think of it that way. But I'm just going to just pause a moment, because we can't gloss over this wonderful tip that you gave us, whereby certificates are an annoying thing, right? CPD certificates. Yes, we're getting less and less paper ones, which is good, because the more PDF ones we have, the way to do it is you stick it all in a Google Drive, right? You can allow your ChatGPT to have access to a Google Drive or Claude, whatever, right? Because Claude's agent stuff is pretty up and coming and good as well. And then exactly, it can translate all that information, and then it could say, okay, make me a PDP to summarize everything that I've learned so far this year, and leave a space for me to decide what I want to do next year. So the whole thing about having to manually input, like one of my friends, Alex, he was saying to me that he logs in his website, he types in the title of every single lecture he's went to, he types in whatever, like that's BS. Even the AI agent can just fill that page for you. Right?
Yeah,
so if you want to still use that website, whatever he's using, and fill it for you, you can. But we've come to a stage now where AI, like the only limit is our imagination. So now, guys, you don't have to imagine anymore. All those Protrusive certificates, all the certificates you're getting, right? In fact, one thing I can even, Daz, it'd be so easy for me to do this, right? I can make on ChatGPT a custom GPT that you just give it your Google Drive folder, it will make exactly for you. Because behind the scene, I say when the dentist uploads their Google Drive folder, do this, give them this output, and that's their PDP. And it can be free, because it takes me minutes to make, and it just saves time for everyone. So this is the reality that we're in now. Like the only limit is your imagination.
Absolutely. And I think, a key thing is how you said this personalization with like custom GPTs, but also projects. So projects are a big thing. So ChatGPT projects, Gemini gems, Claude artifacts, they're all the same thing. They're basically a little subset. Imagine like you're building like a little folder of a very specific task. So anytime I'm doing a big task and I need to sort of talk to, without having to give the same context and background every time I'm having a new conversation in this space. So for example, I've got one for emails, right? So I know exactly, every time I dictate my emails, it knows exactly what style I do my emails in. So it sounds like me, it's British English. It's exactly the way that I sort of finish my emails. I want my emails to be professional and polite, and it basically matches my style. If I was to do my email dictation every time for every email reply, I'll have to give it the same instructions again and again and again. But with a project, you save time because on top of your custom instructions, the personalization instructions that you have in a normal chat, in the project, you've got project-specific instructions. So that's really, really good for repeatable tasks. For example, if I'm doing my, for example, like a consent form, or if I can do if I'm doing my endo treatment notes, they're always going to be the same. But, it's basically, I can just quickly dictate all my information there, put all my working notes in, if there's anything that's relevant. And then from the same project, I can literally have a full treatment that I've completed. I can then generate a full summary to like the dentist, that I'm referring to, and I can make a social media post if I wanted to, and it's all in the same project. So because it has all the context, it's minimum amount of effort that I have to put in then to get really high quality output. The only caveat
way better than what you would have done manually, and like 100 times faster.
Absolutely. And because it's the only caveat to it is just like you have to spend a tiny little bit of time at the beginning to set it up. But once you've set it up, ChatGPT is really, really good at following all the instructions. So you're just recycling the same thing, and it already knows what you're talking about. So it's then minimum amount of information, minimum amount of prompting that I have to give it to have a very, very high quality output, is because it knows all these instructions in the background, and it will give you that high quality answer. And again, I think one of the key sort of things when it comes to interactions with AI, a majority of people, they type, and I think that's a massive sort of mistake. I think the key is transcription and voice transcription. ChatGPT, so at the moment, ChatGPT and Gemini are the two sort of main ones that have the voice transcription enabled. But in my experience, ChatGPT's transcription is way better. It's just because you can talk for longer, and the quality is just higher. And, you can talk probably 4 or 5 times faster than you can type, and you can put so much more information, and it just doesn't take as much effort. It can just be mumbling around. And this is where you give the AI that context. And first of all, it saves you so much time, because I tend to, people say to me like, by the time I've typed it to chat, I would have written it myself. And I'm like, well, that's the key mistake, because if you can voice transcribe it, if you can voice type it, it's just so much faster, and you get so much higher quality output because you can put so much more information in that chat to really sort of get the most out of the model, really to get the best response.
100% agreed. I also want to add an ergonomic reason as well. Like, why are we looking down our phones? We need to be just speaking, right? And so this is like an ergonomic reason, right? Why there's no reason to be typing. I do so many voice notes anyway. And so with the AI, like, are you using Daz at the moment? I don't know if you're still working in practice part-time while doing your DDS.
I work in practice as well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you using an AI note software? I know you're using ChatGPT in a way, but are you using a dedicated dental AI note software?
So I use a customized version of ChatGPT. So I've made my own sort of AI voice sort of note software. But yeah, I do my notes with AI. But I know there's Heidi.
There's Heidi, there's Digital TCO, there's a Dentistry dashboard, even Claude. You know the Claude AI things, right? So it's got a dental note-taking mode on there, right? So so hopefully this month, if I've got my ducks in a row, I'll be posting the video where I'm going to compare my biggest review yet, right? So I'm going to feed the same consultation into all these softwares and see, okay, who makes the best notes, the fastest, the best letters, but just whatever software you're using, the amount of time it saved us. So one of the orthodontist colleagues, Stuart Yeaton, on our Protrusive guidance community, he loves it because the ability to write back to your referring dentist and having these templates, it's called molar mail on Digital TCO. Like the other day, just yesterday, I was having a telephone consultation with my patient, right? So I'm following up with her, saving her a visit. I get patients coming from all over for TMD stuff. So she wanted a telephone consultation. And I put her on loudspeaker, and all my patients know that everything's been recorded. They all consent to it. No one's ever said no. And so I had her on loudspeaker, and the whole note just wrote themselves, and you just have to read and check it. It's just little time savers like that mean that we get so much more done. And I just think that for those dentists who are feeling stressed by the notes, not only are their notes lower in quality, right, but they're having to spend so much time as well. One objection I received from a young dentist about AI notes was, well, what if you forget to warn them about something? Then it's not going to. So compared to templates, so your template, for example, for an extraction has got everything. Whether you warn them of a sinus a breach or not, it's in there, right? And so this dentist said to me, well, what if you forget to say it, right? And I'm like, how is it fair right? How is it fair that it's allowed to be in the template, you didn't say it, but the other way around isn't, right? And so we just have to, it's a reminder for us to be checklisted, right? And so if we go a checklist manifesto, and we always warn, it's making us better clinicians, better communicators, and patients are better. Now, in these AI softwares, digital TCO specifically, when there's something called a super dentist cheat mode, right? And literally, it's like what hospital consultants do. They say, I saw Mrs. Smith today. She had a mouth opening of 39 millimeters. And as someone there is typing in the back end, writing a letter, within a few years, that's going to be gone. All those people, unfortunately, going to lose their jobs. It's sad reality, okay? So that's going to be replaced by AI if it hasn't been already. But the ability for me to literally, for a few minutes, be like Busta Rhymes and say things so fast, right? In like 30 seconds, I've written a whole letter, and it has captured everything beautifully, right?
Yeah.
And it just such a massive time save. Now, I want to show you, for those listening, and I want to show you something cool, because you mentioned custom projects and stuff. There's a dentist called Jason Lipscomb in the US. He is a podcaster in the US, awesome dentist. He's got like these free groups online that he gives away so much. So massive shout out to him. Let me show you this cool thing that he made, and then for those listening, let me describe what I'm doing. Hello, YouTube Protrusive. I know you're watching on YouTube, and I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. But I wanted to highlight, in case you don't know yet, we have an amazing viewing experience on protrusive.app, our website, our network, our platform. So I just want to spend a minute to show you what this looks like. On the left side, you see the navigation, and when you join the app, you get a 1-minute video tour of the entire network. Now, in terms of where the magic happens, that's in the Protrusive community, because you might come for the content, but you'll stay for the community of the nicest and geekiest dentists in the world. We have all these polls, we have a chat group, there's always active chats, and dentists helping dentists. And really what I want to do is create a really supportive environment that's not like the environment we have on Facebook, and is built on the values of niceness and geekiness. If you are nice and geeky, you belong here. Now, to make this a safe space, we have a manual process of approval. We actually verify that you are a dental professional before you get in here. So we have hundreds of applicants a day. So if it's been about 2 days and you haven't heard anything, either something's in your junk or you need to reach out. If you're still waiting to join your tribe, email marie@protrusive.co.uk. That's MARI@protrusive.co.uk, and she'll investigate what's happened. Now, all the videos you have on YouTube are also on here, but you actually have some extra ones for free that you don't have on YouTube. So you get some bonus content that's not on YouTube. And actually, for the future, I'm not taking things out of YouTube, but some things are not appropriate for the wider public, and I want to sort of safeguard that information, which is like dentist talk, if you like. So that's why a lot of the content is only here and not on YouTube. So you're kind of missing out if you're not on here. That's why I'd love for you to join there. And if you join one of our paid plans, then what you get is access to the CE quiz, like this one, and you can get CPD or CE certificates, and also you get our premium notes. So these are a great aid memoir or revision for an episode to really cement your learning. And whilst we have ads, and YouTube places ads on YouTube, we don't have that on our network. So for the paid plan, you get to see all of the premium notes without any of the ads. And of course, you get to support Team Protrusive and help us to continue what we're doing. I'm just going to gloss over the Protrusive Vault, which has all our infographics and downloadables. These are all our masterclasses at this moment in time, and we're always planning to add more. And if you look at them, there's about 1, 2, 3, it's about 7 of them. But actually, if you look at the replay section, some of the live masterclasses that I've done and some of the training that people pay for on other websites is all on there, included as part of the masterclass subscription. And if you're a student, don't fear, we have a special section for you with all the student notes, which anyone can access. So for example, here is one on exodontia. So it's all there waiting for you on Protrusive Guidance. Please head over to the website, which is protrusive.app. Make an account on your browser. This could be Safari, Chrome, however you want to do it. And once you've made your login, then you can download the iOS or Android app and then log in through there. So the reason to make the subscription primarily on the website first is that you get access to a free trial, which you don't get if you do make an account on Android, iOS. If you make it on the website, you get access to the free trial, and you get our best price if you sign up through protrusive.app. So our best deals and free trials are only on protrusive.app. Of course, we always put the link below in the description, and thank you so much for enjoying our videos on YouTube. But it's now finally time to level up your experience. Back to the episode. So I'm gonna now open up my ChatGPT. Let me show you. So let me go to my ChatGPT. And my team will blur out my stuff so you don't get to see what I'm saying with ChatGPT, but while it's loading. Okay, and then I'm gonna go to Dental Disrupt Smile Simulator. Okay, so Dental Disrupt Smile Simulator. This is this free thing he made.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, his Jason was saying that, listen, stop paying all these companies to do your before and after, right? Before and after, like visualization, and there's so many other softwares out there. Like, hey, you upload a video, we'll do it. They're basically using AI anyway, right, to do it for you.
Yeah.
So what you're saying that, hey, listen, this is for free, and it took me a minute to make. So you upload a smile, and then it will give you the data. So let's do it, right? So guys, what I'm doing, I've got my ChatGPT loaded. I'm gonna load a photo of my sister before she had ortho, right? I'm just gonna load that up now. So I'm gonna find it. Here's my sister before she had ortho. I'm gonna add it in, and a smile photo, and then let's see how long it takes. So clock is ticking, it's creating the image, and by the way, ChatGPT's image creation is just phenomenal. Right.
Mm-hmm.
For someone who's been like YouTubing and the thumbnail thing, it's been a revelation for us to be able to just save time and effort. And it's so much fun, right? So much fun to be able to work with Gemini and ChatGPT image creation. So I've put my sister's image in. It's still having a thinking. It's still creating it, but it's creating it based on what Jason has trained this project on, which is when someone uploads an image, follow these parameters of smile design to create a realistic image that we can show to a patient. So now it's easier than ever. So it's now starting to load it up. Have you used these things before, Daz?
I have, yeah. So, with custom GPTs, you're uploading your old custom data sets of things that you want it to reference as its knowledge. And then you've got your own sort of master instructions in the back. So I've made like my own Endo one as well. So yeah.
What does your Endo one do? Like, does it assess for complexity, or what does your Endo one do?
No, so the Endo one is just basically, it's kind of like a reference guide. So if I want to ask it about a specific type of a very, very complex case, it will sort of reference all the sources that I've uploaded. So it's more like a reference, like a second opinion, like another clinician.
Mm-hmm.
Very like a specialist.
Very cool. So here we are, before and after image. I mean, how realistic does that look? Looks amazing, right?
Yeah,
the funny thing now is that obviously those listening, they won't get to see this, but I'm going to now load up her actual before and after, right? And then we can actually compare, was it actually close or not, right? So let's put this here. That's not bad, right? Not bad. Obviously flashing and stuff is different, but what a wonderful, almost identical result that we managed to achieve. The AI is very clever, very good. Obviously, we have to use our judgment. We don't want to over-promise and stuff, but that we knew that already from when we're using these simulation softwares. But by next year, the video stuff will be free as well, right? It's so easy. I'm sure probably there's a mode in there that I can just upload a video of someone speaking and it'll send a video back to me. Grok can probably do it, to be honest with you, Grok AI. So which AI softwares should we be using personally and then professionally, right? So give us some personal things that you have found good case studies for AI that just because we're dentists, we can still benefit from, because we're humans too. And so we can actually benefit from these AI case studies.
Yeah. So I think what I would say, if anyone's sort of starting with AI, or if they want to sort of get to do and get more use out of AI, is to try the different models first. So, there's obviously the ChatGPT, which is the most sort of famous, most popular one. You've got Gemini from Google. There's Claude from Anthropic as well, and then Grok from XAI. And there's also other ones like there's Meta stuff and Chinese models like Qwen and DeepSeek. But sort of the main four, like the main 3 or 4 ones will be like the OpenAI, Chats, Gemini, Claude, and XAI and Grok. Now, try different ones and then see which personalities and which type of responses you like. So again, get your custom instructions and introduce yourself to the AI so it knows exactly who you are, who's dealing with, so you can get higher quality responses. And then see which personality you like, and then just stick to that one. Because especially now with ChatGPT and Gemini, there's a lot more emphasis on memories. So as you're using these models, they will learn more and more about you. And now with ChatGPT, they've introduced not only just the memories that you tell it to remember. So you might have a chat, for example, in your dental practice, there may be, a nurse who's got a certain name, a practice manager has got a certain name, an associate's got a certain name. And you can basically introduce all these people to chat or to Gemini, and then it will remember. So then every time you say like, oh, Jason, my associate, will, write an email to him, it knows exactly what it is. For example, my AI knows exactly, what are the names of all my supervisors, what are the names of my professors. So if I just say like, oh, write an email to prof, it knows exactly which prof I'm talking about. So I don't have to give it that extra context. So just, again, it's just makes it faster and saves more time.
And it will say it in your voice as well, because you've trained it on, this is how I write my emails, this is me, and then you get to check it. And look,
Absolutely.
it's not like taking it is a shortcut, but it's not like, I don't think it's disingenuous, because you've literally trained it to sound like you, and you approve it, and then you copy and paste it over,
Yeah.
and this is your words, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, so once you sort of start learning about it, just pick the one and sort of stick to it, because it'll learn more and more about you. In terms of what certain AIs are better at, I would say Gemini is definitely better if you are really in Google ecosystem. So, you've got integration with your Gmail, Drive. So it's got the biggest context window out of all the models at the moment. It's got 1 million tokens. So Gemini, if you're working with really, really big documents, and it's the only AI at the moment from the Western side that can accept the video uploads as well. So you can, for example, upload your video. You're doing a new practice marketing video, and you say to it, have a look at this video that we're making for our practice marketing, and score it and tell us what we can improve, or is it good, is it bad, is there any sort of things that can be improved. And Gemini is really, really good at that. And when it comes to image generation as well, Gemini has got the Nano Banana model. So the Nano Banana Pro is faster than Chat at the moment, and I would say is better quality, in my opinion, compared to Chat, but they are very close. But Gemini is just a little bit faster. So I think any sort of big context documents, photo generation, and also video, you can use VO. Google, so that's their video flagship generation model, which again, so I'll tell you a really interesting use case that I did the other day. So one of my friends who's a specialist, he is doing a course for, I think, FDs or GDPs on Endo, and he had a photo of an access cavity and a normal handpiece with a burr over the access cavity compared to an ultrasonic. And obviously he wanted to showcase that when you use the normal handpiece, you don't really see much because the handpiece is in the way. When you use an ultrasonic, you can see a lot more. So he had these two photos next to each other, and he said to me like, oh, can you make a video out of it? So I went to Gemini and I used the VO model, and I basically got it to move the handpiece, got it to move the ultrasonic. So it just becomes, your photos become live, and it just, it's just so much nicer because it just makes it easy to communicate your idea. And yeah, so I think Gemini, again, is also really good with maps because it's got all the Google Maps stuff. So I was buying a car and I had to go to like different dealerships, and sometimes if you have to go to like different places, you sort of like go on Google Maps and say, okay, if I go from this place to this place is like that much time, but if I go here, and then you just do all these calculations. Maybe should I go to this one first or this one first? What's the most efficient way? So I basically told this to Gemini, and it just did all of that, and then it did all these calculations, which dealerships to go first, and then it said like, okay, if you live in this area at this time of the day, if you leave at this time, this is the best way. And any sort of Google stuff, map stuff, video, I'll say Gemini is better, but I use Chat most of the time. I think I would say is, don't just use one model. I'll say use one concurrently, but you can also ask other models for their opinion as well. So if I'm doing something very big, or it's something that is very serious, or I need a lot of opinions, I would literally go and I open Chat, Gemini, Claude, and Grok, and I'll paste the exact same thing into all four. And it's like a council, I've got all the different opinions of all the different AIs, and they all have slightly different training, slightly different instructions. It's the exact same prompt, but then it gives me different opinions, and you're like, oh, actually, this is a good idea. So that's really, really useful in terms of, if it's like a big task that we're using the reasoning models, the thinking models. So that's what I would definitely recommend. But I prefer Chat, but some people might prefer. I know, for example, my parents prefer Gemini, or some of my friends prefer Gemini just because of the personality that it has. So it doesn't mean that you have to use Chat because everyone else uses Chat, but I think that is, just try them and then stick to one.
It's a real rabbit hole you can go down. It's just, I think, is just a wonderful thing. I mean, there's so many dangers to it. We'll touch on in a second. We'll talk about patient confidentiality and stuff in a moment. But for me, I'm rubbish at DIY. I just never paid. My dad was never into DIY. I never got into DIY. And so anytime I have to do any sort of DIY, IKEA kind of stuff, I'll literally, if I'm like confused, which happens very soon into a DIY task, which is why I don't do implants, if anyone ever wondered. I get out the voice mode with ChatGPT, and suddenly just switch on my video. I was like, wait, which screw does it need? And it'll just say, oh, the one over there that's labeled B. I was like, okay, cool, I got you. Like little things that are helping you navigate life. Like it's now I don't need to pay someone or record someone. I can just get ChatGPT to give me that opinion, and it's just mind-blowingly amazing. So the case use for personal things is just your, imagination is your limit. It's a wonderful thing out there, but for dentistry, where are we at now in terms of, you in the States, things have to be HIPAA compliant, UK and Europe, GDPR, that kind of stuff. Like, are there any rules of engagement in terms of sharing patient details? Because there might be someone in the world right now who says, write me a letter to a patient, here, take this, here's the patient details, write it, and they would have given the date of birth, the name of the patient, address, etc., that kind of stuff. Surely that's dangerous.
Yeah, so exactly. So I think, I would certainly say at this point, you want to, any interaction that you would have with a chatbot, you want to be, completely anonymous. You don't want to be giving, and I mean, when is it really needed? How much more higher quality will you get out of the output just by putting the patient details in? I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. But
one thing you said earlier was the context, and the whole communication side. For example, if you want to really enhance your communication, and the patient is a mechanic, and you want to say, look, so you could say, use my template for my endodontic consent form, adapt it for a 59-year-old male who's a smoker and is a mechanic. I don't think that's not patient identifiable. It's not patient identifiable, but it's good context to help you make a better letter. So I think that's okay. But as long as it's not patient identifiable, it should be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So any patient, date of birth, patient names, things like that, addresses, I think at the moment it's a big no. It's this bit you can do it yourself, and it doesn't really take that much time. I think the quality of the AI comes from the background information rather than patient specific information. So anytime I interact with any of the AI models, I never ever would put any patient information in. And this is it's quite interesting that we're talking about this, because like some time ago there was an issue where when you've got your chat with ChatGPT and there's like a share button in there. So it
with Grok, right? You're coming onto the Grok issue, right?
I think it was chat. I'm not sure, but from what I remember, it was. So basically, what ended up happening is it created like a public address of your chat, and then these chats started indexing in Google. So people were able to find people's private chats in Google. I mean, obviously they fixed it now, but you never know where an issue like that may happen again.
Or a big data leak could happen against the deep search, whatever it's called in China, for example, whatever. Like anyway, Grok AI could be affected, and then suddenly they got all this data. So I think very easy debate here. Don't overshare. Give what you need for the context, but don't give any patient identifiable information. Now, here's a curveball, Daz. Here's a curveball. You just saw me, and everyone who's listening right now, you heard me upload my sister's smile to ChatGPT. I didn't ask my sister. She's cool, but I didn't ask my sister. So Jason Lipson made this wonderful thing out there, and so at what point do we need to say to our patients, look, I'm going to help you to visualize this. I need to share your image, your data to ChatGPT. And so where do we draw the line in terms of your patient's image? Or is it okay if it's not the eyes? Like, do you know anything about this? Because I don't know.
To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I think it's always better to err on the side of caution, in terms of, as I feel like as long as we follow the confidentiality, patient confidentiality principles, I think that's the key. And I think in terms
of an ideal way, Daz, is that if you were to upload it to a model to give you an AI simulation, I think the best way to do it is to ask the patient, look, I can give you a really cool simulation. It's mind blowing, and I'll tell you if it's realistic or not. But it's a really cool thing. I just need your permission to share this with AI. AI keeps it to itself, but I need to be able to share this image to ChatGPT or whatever, this model. And as long as a patient gives you consent, then that's fine. But I think where we can get in trouble is if we don't get that level of consent.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, and everything in dentistry is to do with consent. You have to get consent for treatment. And I'm sure, patients understand the fact that we're doing this to help them. we're not doing this for our gain. We're only really doing this to give them a better understanding of the things. Because obviously to us, it's evident and very easy to visualize what the outcome could be. But for them, it may be a little bit more tricky. And if it's just another tool, right? It's like an X-ray, it's just another tool, that we're using. So it's just another way of being able to convey that data in a way that's very patient specific. And then again, you're the judge at the end. You are the one that says, okay, this is actually, because this is quite realistic, or you can be like, oh, actually just ignore it. This is this is never gonna happen. I think at the end of the day, it's all, you're ultimately always responsible for the information that is given to the patient. And you cannot blame the AI for sort of saying to you like, okay, well, it told me to do this and I did this, or it just wrote this consent form and I never read it, or it wrote my notes and I never read it. Because you always have to be like responsible for everything that goes with your name. So I think that's the key thing. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's just that it's all about patient consent at the end of the day, and ensuring that we're on the same we have both the same understanding with our patients in terms of what's the best way of being communicating with them.
Let's get our crystal balls out, right? What will AI replace in dentistry in the foreseeable future? Admin team will reduce massively. I'm not saying it'll be fully replaced. You still need someone to oversee, because ChatGPT can make, or AI can make mistakes. You need to check. Someone to quality control, right? Since we've, in my business and education and Protrusive, we've massively used AI. I haven't let anyone go. Got a team of 8 or 9 now, and I haven't let anyone go. I've just helped them to use AI so we can achieve more and serve more dentists and stuff, and Ask Jazz, etc. We've all been part of that, rather than me getting rid of someone. I wouldn't want to do that. But as clinics want to be profitable, now they can get rid of I'm getting rid of such a harsh term, but they won't need so many. If they have a team of 6 receptionists, they might only need 2 now, right? Which is good and bad, because it's a very sad thing about the workplace reality. So I think admin tasks and admin team will reduce. My prediction. AI notes, we're pretty much already there, and I think the vast majority will be using AI for writing their letters, the notes, communication, that kind of stuff. What else do you think it will replace? And then we'll come on to what will AI not replace in dentistry.
So I think, again, I think education is quite big, and tools, just sort of, so I know you mentioned the context of education, and I think as dentists, especially, Protrusive, we want to get better. We want to improve. We want to learn. We go to courses. We want to revise. We want to study. And I think personalized education is a big thing as well. As like you said, with your custom AI, you've got your own custom knowledge, and you are able to essentially, it's almost give that like a copy of yourself to mentor that dentist.
It's a digital mind. They call it your digital mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And with tools like Notebook now, where you can upload your PDFs, papers, they can turn it into a podcast or a presentation, an infographic. It makes it so much easier to revise and really, to consume knowledge and to learn. So I think this is going to have a big effect on teaching and training, teaching, training, staff training, because different people learn in different ways. One person really likes to read, but someone else likes to listen to a podcast or watch a video. And with AI being able to deliver all these things and then deliver personalized quizzes, tools like Notebook LM, I think just gonna be incredibly useful.
Think of us. Imagine we were students again. Like the students of today have no idea how much information they have access to. Like all these concepts, like literally so many times I've had a chat with ChatGPT and said, look, explain to me like I'm 12 what this paper's trying to say, right? Because there's some very complex in bruxism. They're really complex papers, all these neurotransmitters and stuff, and it's helped me out so many times. Like, well, think of bruxism like a computer, and when it goes on standby mode, and okay, that makes sense now. And so for education perspective, even for self-education, it helps so much. And Notebook LM, and a very noteworthy mention, the students of today, we used to do like flashcards and past questions and quizzes. You now have access to, like, you can literally tell Gemini, okay, here's a few past papers from a few years ago. Create me a bank of 500 questions in a separate document. Create me the ideal answers that I can reference after I've given it a go. Wow.
Yeah. It's incredible. And I mean, that was actually what I was talking about. And so I just went to a conference in Paris for the ESC, European Society of Endodontics. And, we were talking about Notebook LM, and, we actually use it in Liverpool for our journal club. So every week we have to read papers. So we we've introduced the podcast as part of the journal club. So you just listen to the podcast, and then you're already primed. So by the time you actually go and read the paper, so much more information is already available to you, and you're not sort of falling asleep when trying to read it. So I think,
plus in our busy lives, sometimes as a parent, I don't get time to read.
yeah,
I do audiobook stuff, right? And so now if you're part of a journal club, right, and you're struggling to read because of kids or life or whatever, but you have a half an hour commute, wow, you can literally just Notebook LM will make you a podcast summary of that paper. You can listen to it and be clued up, and a lot of people prefer to learn that way anyway.
absolutely. And I think you mentioned the fact that some jobs may go, but I think it's just a transfer of skills. I think there was the same worries when the internet came out, saying like, oh, it's going to take everyone's jobs. But look how many jobs were created because of the internet. And I think the exact same thing will happen with AI. The expertise will just shift and new roles will be created. So, rather than doing boring admin reception work, you just be the prompt master. You'll be supervising the AIs and making sure that the output is correct, or troubleshooting, when the different AIs talk to each other, different tools talk to each other. So especially with coding, AI is amazing at coding, and it can teach you, it can teach you how to code. It's the best teacher. So I think over time, I don't think jobs will necessarily lost. It'll just the transfer of skills will happen, and new roles will actually become available and will rise because of the higher demand of this type of information. So, and I think, again, patients always appreciate personalized care and personalized attention. And, you can have an AI chatbot that's personalized to the patient, but then again, I think, so let's say if the patient can talk to it, then the AI can flag if there's something wrong. This patient was talking to me, and then maybe like the socket isn't healing after the extraction. So then I could ping your practice and say like, okay, check on this patient because they're interacting with our chatbot, but now they're reporting some complications. I find, if anything, I think it's just going to improve patient care further and just give a better overall experience to everyone really involved.
Talking of experience, and you also mentioned augmented reality earlier as well. One cool thing I'm doing at the moment is patients wearing these what they call X-Real glasses. X-Real Pro 2 is what I've got, right? They're wearing the X-Real glasses, and I'm screen mirroring my loop camera to the glasses, and I'm doing my checkup. So I'm doing my checkup live. The patient's hearing and seeing, like as I'm doing the mouth cancer, they're sticking their tongue out. They're seeing their tongue through the glasses, right?
Yeah.
And this has been like revolutionary in the last 4 or 5 months of me experimenting with this. I'm really pioneering this, and I'm just loving patients. Not a single patient has said that was terrible or I hated it. They've been blown away. They like never want to have an exam ever again whereby they don't get to see that level of insight, right? But the AI element is now, let's say the patient says, oh, you know what? Can you send me a video of that? And that's totally cool. But previously, my team would spend hours editing my clinical videos, right, in the education. Now, within the software, there's AI. So every time you look away, it removes those bits and it keeps the bit where it's relevant. And you can just package it up, send to a patient that here's your video of your checkup. A bit like when you get your car serviced and they send you a video of your car and here's what's dodgy, here's what's good. This is the future of dentistry, right? And it's got AI, it's got the glasses experience. And I think this is only going to evolve. What I want to know from you now is, what are the limits, and what will AI not replace? Where do you think we're actually, AI can't replace in dentistry because AI cannot do this, and it won't do this?
Yeah, so I think you're absolutely right. It's just in terms of the amount of information that we can now transmit to the patient in an effortless way, really to educate and to engage them with us as well, because we can take the sort of dreaded, boring task of going to the dentist to something that, some patients will be very interested. And then I think that's a really good way of building extra rapport with them. I recently went to a conference in Venice on digital dentistry, and there was a company there from China which made a robot that can do implants. And they have hundreds of these robots deployed across China, and the robot can literally just place implants. And they said that I think they've got like 40,000 implants that they've already placed with the robot, and they have like robot implant clinics, which is crazy.
Wow.
So, and then they said like now the next thing that's coming is the robot will do the crown preps and everything. So, it's incredible how much technology is advancing in such a short period of time. But I think there's still a lot. I think what AI will not replace is definitely the human connection that we have, the emotions behind, because AI is just an algorithm with probabilities at the back of it. It can say to you, okay, if it's a borderline restorable case, it will say like, well, from the training data that I know, that this shouldn't really be restorable. But then you, with your experience as a clinician, you may know of a way to actually predictably restore that tooth. And it's just having that empathy. AI can generate the most empathetic sounding letter, but there's always that additional human touch that I think people and patients will always appreciate, and staff. It's having that ability really to just have that additional layer of interaction with people that AI will never replace. And I think, the artistry in dentistry, there's so much nuance in terms of how creative we can be. AI can sort of give you suggestions and recommendations, but I think we all know our skills. We know what we're good at, what we're not so good at. And I think we can really sort of use AI to amplify the things that we're not very good at, and then also give us additional edge to fill in all the gaps. But I think we always be experts, in terms of patient communication and also the artistry behind it. So I think the creativity and the artistry, I don't think it can be replaced. But I think, with Neuralink coming out, and where I think over time, I think humans and AI will start to merge, and then you'll have like pure humans, half AI. So
It's like something from the sci-fi, all the sci-fi stuff is coming to life, really, cyborg and that kind of stuff. How fascinating. Daz, tell us how we can reach out to you, learn more from you, and also just tell us what are you actually studying with AI and Endo? What are you actually doing your thesis on?
So one of the things that I'm looking at is I'm looking at off-the-shelf models. So basically ChatGPT, Gemini. So basically I'm learning how they work, and I'm looking at endodontic complexity assessment. So I'm seeing how they work in terms of endodontic complexity. Because yes, we've got a lot of sort of custom trained models for analyzing caries, CBCTs, all of this stuff. But I'm trying to see whether these models with all this vast training data, whether we can actually pinpoint and see whether we can tailor this to be used for everyone. Because, if you need a separate subscription for everything else, then obviously, yes, the model is arguably better, but what I'm trying to look at is how can we use the technology that's in your pocket and in my pocket to help us, and how we can customize it to get the best outputs without having to have custom AIs for everything. So that's one of the main things that I'm looking at.
I imagine it's scarily promising how good it will be at assessment based on image and a radiograph. I'm sure it's scarily good at giving you complexity.
Yeah, so there's still some nuances, and there's still the things that I'm sort of working out is trying to sort of understand how their models think, how they perceive things, and then sort of tailoring these things in order to sort of get a better output. But that's sort of my AI. And then basically every few weeks I do like an AI update for everyone. that's doing that I'm doing Endo with all my professors and specialists, and I'm doing some like AI teaching sessions with the Uni of Liverpool people. Yeah, it's super exciting, and it's literally changing the world.
What a time to be alive.
Absolutely, and yeah, I think it's just incredible how fast things are progressing and how much they're improving by. And yeah, I think it's like you said, it's the future, and it's only going to get better. Yeah. So I mean, I'm on Instagram.
How can we send you some love and thanks and follow what you get up to, man?
So I'm on Instagram, Endo Daz, so Endo_Daz. So if you want to reach out to me, more than happy to help. And I think, if people are interested in it, I think I'll be more than happy to sort of organize some things and see if people are interested to learn more about AI. But yeah, that's sort of my main sort of hub. Yeah, so if anyone's interested, give me a shout at Endo Daz. Thank you.
Amazing. And I want to say thanks so much for being part of the community. Thanks for all those Protrusive you served in the past with the cross-polarizing filters. You're a man of many talents, I have to say. Now Endo as well, and AI. And mate, thank you so much for coming on. Maybe in a couple of years' time we'll do an update and how everything we said today was totally irrelevant because it moved
Yeah.
so fast that everything was like laughably irrelevant by the time we come to that.
Yeah, no, it's changing so fast. I wouldn't even be surprised. But yeah, thank you so much, Jazz, for having me on. It's amazing. It's a massive honor to be here, and I love what you're doing, and your team, and everyone's amazing. So yeah, excited to what's going to happen in the future. And yeah, thank you again.
Okay, all the best with your studies, my friend.
Thank you. All the best, mate. All right, take care.
Well, there we have it, guys. Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end. You got through this episode with Daz, and wasn't he great sharing all his enthusiasm and ideas and his geekiness? I'm hoping you're feeling a little bit more clued up about AI and hopefully a little bit excited. So at the time of recording, it is AI month on the app right now. And hey, if you're not yet on Protrusive Guidance, what are you doing? We are the nicest and geekiest dentists in the world. It's not like Facebook. It's not toxic. We're all helping, sharing, chatting, posting. And of course, there's hundreds of hours CPD on there as well for you. We are a PACE approved education provider, and this episode has a quiz. If you scroll down, answer the quiz, you get your CE for this episode. Your CPD queen, Marie, will email you a certificate, and every quarter she'll send you your folder which has all your certificates inside. Every month I do a live webinar, a new consent form for you guys, and every so often we release a new mini course. We also now have our own Protrusive AI called Ask Jazz, and it's an expert at clinical reasoning. To join that, you have to join the Infinity plan, and the best place to go to find out more information is protrusive.app. That's the website, protrusive.app. Once you make a login, you'll be able to download the iOS and Android app, and hopefully you can make an account in time for us to get involved with these discussions. Every day we're discussing new things about AI, or whatever the theme is that month. Last month it was all about personal finances, and next month is all about preventing stress and burnout. So check it out, protrusive.app, and don't forget to try that smile simulator, the Dental Disrupt Smile Simulator. Link is below. If you like what we're doing, give us a like and subscribe wherever you're listening. And thank you once again. I'll catch you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.